We are back, folks, and I want you to go now to Chapter 20. Go to your Chapter 20 folder and the companion content and open up templates, and there's only one file in there called rock temp, and I want you to open that up. And when you open it up, it should look something like this. We're going to keep building on what we did earlier with the sum if and average if. This time we're going to start talking about counting. And, I wanted to point out to you, we talked about earlier, if I go up here to File, you see on my Home ribbon? Not File, Home tab. And look here under the basic functions, the sum, the average, the count. This is all we're doing. I said to you from the first night, those are the basic logics of programming. So all we're doing is building on those. So if you have this open, everybody put their selection on C2 and be on formulas. Now, the first two I'm not going to bother with. You understand what a count is. If I do this, just watch. You don't have to do, but if you look up here, if I put equals and I say count, and I could just pick one of the columns, one of the selected ranges. I'll say singer. There it is, the second one down. And I'll close that. Whoops. Let's try that again. Let's say count. And try song number. Oh, for some reason that worked. So just count song number, there's 951. So again, it's the basic function, just like average and sum, but now we're counting. I won't bother with count A, but look at count blank. All right?
So can you show that again, the count?
Sure, the count, it's just the basic function of count. That's all we had to do here was count. And I just put inside the parentheses one of the named ranges, which is song _ num, period. By the way, this is a terrible named range. Does anybody know why? Don't put a period at the end of a. You see what they did? They put a period at the end of num. Don't do that, ever. Somebody will forget that. All right. Let's start with be on C4. I'm not going to bother with count A. It's not important right now. Let's get to C4, everybody. This is the idea that if I was given data, a large column of data, what do I do if some of the information's gone? But maybe you don't know the information is gone. Does that make sense to you? You have these long lists. How do you know in thousands of records one of them is missing? This is a great idea we call checksum. Sometimes we put stuff in just to check the validity of the data. And this is a perfect example of count the blank records. Now, often, by the way, in a company, when I worked at Goldman Sachs, when I worked at ACO, yes, folks, we would actually be looking for maybe the service reps didn't complete an entry into the computer. And we're just going back to see what's missing in a column. But here it goes again. If I put... Let's go to the statistical again for functions. So go to more functions, statistical, and come down to count if. And in this case, it's asking what range. There could be a blank record. So you're going to type singer. I know that I typed it correctly because if you look to the right, I'm actually getting some records pulled up. So it definitely found that range. You see that? But what's the criteria? How do I know it's blank? You ready? Put double quotes. This is the key. Space. Double quotes. You got to put the space between the double quotes and hit enter. Now it's counting 0 because there's no missing ones. You ready? If I go to just one of these records and I delete it, Whoops. It's odd, that should have counted it up. You take it back, take the space out. They must have changed that in 2016. It's not required anymore. So it's Singer, comma, 2 double quotes. You used to actually have to put the space in. So the fact that we're missing a record, it's going to tell us. Now, of course, in this case, we would have seen it right away because the record is right at the top of the chart. I'll put back in M&M, and it goes to 0. These next couple ones, they're all the different names. These are the greatest stars of all time. Cher, Britney Spears, John Mellencamp. I like they put Britney Spears in there with all these great singers, Bruce Springsteen. But here again, this is just a simple count if. In this case, though, let's just reference out. Watch me do it first, and then you can follow along. If I come over here, I'll actually type it by hand. I'm going to say equals count if, the range being Singer, comma, and in this case, I'm going to say B5 because that's the person we're looking for. Close the parentheses. So it's equals count if, in the Singer column, the value we've put in B5 exists. I'll hit enter, and there's 114. Now the beauty of doing that, see how it's looking for Cher, Moore, Spears. I can now just copy this down to Barry Manilow, and it updates it for me right away.
Mine is 113. Because you deleted the M&M.
Oh yeah, you got rid of one of the M&Ms.
I have the same case.
Now this is going to tell you how old I am. And I remember when M&M came on the market, this singer, the rap artist, I really did think it was M&M, like the chocolates.
He actually started out as that.
Was he?
And then he changed his name, yeah.
Good. Don't mess up the candies. All right. So that's simple. Just a count of. I'm not sure why they put a total here, but simply you can do this for total. Put your cursor on C13. And if you say equals sum, open parentheses, and I can just select everything from M&M down to Barry Manilow. C5 colon to C12. And hit enter. Tells me there's 951. Maybe just what we call a checksum to double check. All right, well, let's get into it, folks. So this spreadsheet is talking a great deal about counting and counting if. And of course, if there's a count if, there's a count ifs. Just like there was a sum if, there's a sum ifs. If there's an average if, there's an average ifs. So, not by M&M. And we can say equals count if, open parentheses, Singer, comma. I'm going to open a double quotes. In this case, I'm going to put greater than and less than, because I told you in the last chapter, right, that greater than and less than means not. And I'm going to put B5 again, because I know that's M&M. Close the double quotes, close the parentheses. Oh, you know what? Take the double quotes out, because that's going to make the B5 literal. No, you really want to? It's not going to let me reference it out. Change the B5 to M&M. Actually type in the name. M&M. Close your double quotes. There you go. So count if the Singer, comma, double quotes, is not equal to, less than and greater than, M&M. Susan, we good? All right.
Can I ask a stupid question?
There are no stupid questions.
Why can't we use some ifs?
Well, some if would only work. It doesn't work with text.
Oh,
It couldn't crunch it that way. All right. Everybody come down to C16. Now we're looking for songs that are greater than or equal to 4 minutes. And if you notice, one of your columns or one of your ranges is named minutes. So we're going to do it again. We're going to say equals, count if, minutes, comma, double quotes, is greater than or equal to 4. Close the double quotes, close the parentheses. The minutes is greater than or equal to 4. Now this is a little bit different. Holly can bring a chance to catch up. Louis, you good? Jay? All right. Susan? All right. On C17, it's asking us songs that are longer than the average. If you look over here on G5, you see G5? We created an average for the minutes. That's how it knows that. So we really have to reference to that cell of G5. We don't want to hard code it in because the minutes might change for whatever reason. Just so you know that in the formula. Longer than the average. So even though it says average, it's not an average if. It's again counting the number. So I'm going to say equals, count if, and we're going to say average, minutes, is greater than, and select G5. And just to be safe, oh no, I'm going to put double quotes around that G5. I don't know if we would need them or not, but I'm going to put them in there. No.
0, yeah.
See if I take them out for 1 sec. Now, I think what it's looking for, I'm going to try something here, folks. Now I'll go to the GUI. I'm going to put an ampersand in front of the G and in front of the 5. All right, let's try this. Let's actually use the GUI. There must be
I
some.
did. That's how I did. It still gave me 0.
The range, which is minutes, the criteria,
Greater than.
oh. I'm very confused whether it's not giving us any. I'll come back to it. Let me think about that for a minute. Go ahead.
I typed out the number for the average and it gave me 477.
Yeah, it's for some reason I have a hard time referencing the function because it's going to. That's why I put the ampersands in front of them. Sometimes the ampersand will return the value of a function. So I'm trying to figure out why that's not pulling it back for me. I'll look at it in a minute. Sometimes you got to walk away from it and then come back. All right. The next one is what we call a wild card. if you're on C18. And in this case, they're looking for a singer that begins with the letter S. So watch how I do this. Look up on my screen. If I say equals, count if the singer, comma, double quotes, and here's what you do, folks. First you put the letter S. That's what you're starting it with. The wild card is the ampersand. That's the symbol above the number 8. Sometimes it's called a wild card, sometimes the ampersand, whatever you want to call it, or the asterisk.
Where are we putting that?
Right here on C18,
No, but after.
after the S. Double quotes,
You have two double quotes there.
right, double quotes, S, asterisk.
That's asterisk. Oh. So
That's the value above, the symbol above the number 8. It's hard to see. Look on your keyboard and look above the number 8.
So is it asterisk and then quotes? Or-
Then double quotes.
Okay.
Then close your parentheses. There you go. So basically, when you put an asterisk, it says everything that begins with S and whatever follows. There could be 100 letters. It doesn't care. It didn't care if it was capitalized or not. Notice it's the S and the asterisk. So just, you'll hear somebody might say, put in a wild card. That's what the asterisk is. Come on down to C19. Now this is a little different. This very specifically says, I'm looking for values or names with 6 values in them. Now here again is another kind of wild card, but it's a little different. You ready? We're going to say equals count if singer, comma, double quotes. You ready? Put 6 question marks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Close your double quotes. Close your parentheses. So what we're actually saying here is count if, meaning return it to me, any singer with 6 values, 6 letters in their name. I hit enter. There's 243. Just by putting the question marks. Jay, you good? Susan? All right. Come down here to C20. Songs, songs after 6/15/2005. One of the columns we have is date. So I'm going to actually say equals count if the date, comma, is, I'll put the double quotes, greater than, and then I can just put that date in, 6/15/2005. Close my double quotes, close my parentheses. There's 98.
You click on that again.
And that's how we do it.